great broadcasters. Our trainer today is Reverend ENIOLA Olatunji. Some of us know him, Yomi Kazim. His journey into broadcasting started in 1977. He has worked as a proofreader, presenter, producer, and even commentator. He retired, but you can see he's not tired. He's with us today as he left public service in 1995 after a successful career to become a clergyman. So I am inviting him to start the class, and I'm inviting all of us to be attentive with our biros and our pen and paper, and to pick something, learn something from him today. Wishing you the best of today's training. Thank you very much. My name is Fantastic Bibi.
It's great to be with you. I want to start by telling you the 10 essentials of news writing. 10 essentials of news writing. The 10 essentials of news writing are the basic things that we need to know for us to be able to even get our direction in news writing. And the first thing, number one, is truth. Truth, T-R-U-T-H, truth. Okay, I've talked about number one. I said it is truth. Number two, the second one is clarity. The third one is completeness. Completeness, that's the third one. Make sure you have included all of the most important and relevant details. Make sure you place the main facts of the story into context. Don't just report what is news. Mention what's next. Tell us why you are telling us what you are telling us. Don't include irrelevant and unimportant details. I hope you are listening to me very well. Number four, make your news a compelling storytelling. Compelling storytelling. Number four. You are competing for your audience attention in a cluttered information world. There are so many sources for them. There are so many other news items they need to get at the same time. Are you following me? Readers are easily distracted, especially when they are consuming your story on a mobile device like your phone. To keep their attention, your story must be better than good. There is no substitute for compelling storytelling. Hook the reader from the first sentence. That is your intro, what we call the intro or the lead. We are going to hear more about lead. The story should move briskly. Every sentence should enrich the reader's experience. Number five, tight writing. Tight writing. As shrunk, and white. These are resource people. Shrunk, I spell shrunk, S-T-R-U-N-K, shrunk is the name of a person, and white, W-H-I-T-E, wrote more than a century ago. Omit needless words. Words that can distract. Be concise. Keep your sentences short, but not most of the time in sports writing. The more you are relaxed in sports writing, the more people flow with you. Sports is like an FM station. You use a different language, not the hard language. When you are receiving news on medium wave and short wave, you use hard language. But when on FM, you relax with your words. That's where you can use, you kick the bucket. It's not a language for hard news. Number six, protection. Protection. Oh, sorry. Number six, precision. 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 Use the right word to convey the right meaning. Avoid vague verbs, such as to have, to be, to do, to get, when you can be more specific. Avoid overgeneral words such as some, many, a lot. They are not good words in news writing. If you have trouble with precise word choice, then you need to expand your English vocabulary. Number 7, timeliness or brevity. Timeliness or brevity. You always want a peg, a time peg for your news story. In the newsroom, we call that a deadline. When the match has just finished, you are waiting on a Saturday, you are waiting to post your story on Sunday. That's a stale news. In broadcasting, your story must be posted without delay. On breaking news, that's easy. That news is happening now, and I'm writing about it. But news features and enterprise projects should be timely now. Many journalists do not know the difference between a tournament and championship. I just want to explain that. Many sports journalists don't know the difference between a tournament and a championship. A tournament is a series of games. Either the same games played many times or a succession of games related by a single theme, like we have right now, World Under-20 Female Cup. World Under-20 Female Cup. That's the theme. So in your intro, you must also, that is the first paragraph, you must tell us which competition you are reporting about. What is the event? Which game? So don't tell me World Under-20 Female Cup alone. World Under-20 Female Football Cup. So we know you are talking about football. There is volleyball, World Under-20. There is basketball, World Under-20, same age group. Now, a championship generally used in sports is a competition to determine a champion, especially the finals of a series of competition. So the current games in Costa Rica can be called championship because champions that emerge from continents are gathered there. So we want to see who is the champion of champions. Number 8, fairness, balance, and responsibility. Number 8, fairness, balance, and responsibility. Ethics are a core value of journalism. Your stories, even opinion pieces, should be fair. You should provide context for breaking news. Multiple points of view should be considered. Although you have no obligation to give equal space to everyone, but they will tell you, you must give. That's the latest, and especially in political reporting. You must give. If you give APC 5 minutes, you give PDP 5 minutes, you must give Labour Party 5 minutes. That is fairness. The target of critical stories should be given an opportunity to respond before publication. That is, try and contact them. And then when the information desk, we usually call it the public relations or media advisor or whatever, when they are not, you indicate, I have contacted them. When Nasarawa United had an accident in Lafia, I did contact the PRO. He said, I will get back to you. I said, I have a deadline. He didn't get back to me until the story had been published, and he wants me to do a correction. I said, I'm not under any obligation to do that. I gave you an opportunity, you didn't respond. So you must be fair. Try and contact them first. These are news events. Now, number 9, transparency and honesty. You must be straight with your audience if you expect them to trust you. And that's affecting a lot of sports writers. Some sports writers, when they write a news, oh, the first thinking you have is that he has collected. Or the slang we were using at the time, who is your sponsor? Don't steal materials from others. That one I can't talk about in this time of cut and paste, copy and paste. Properly attribute all materials, facts, and quotations that you found on other platforms. Avoid conflicts of interest. Never take money or gifts in exchange of writing a story. I think I have become an expert on this kind of ethics. I wrote my master's thesis for Masters of Communication Arts at the University of Ibadan in 1989 on journalists or just a journalist perception of brown envelopes. So I can talk about ethics. There are frisbees that they give sports journalists. For example, in 1980, I had to follow Ogun State Sports Council to Kaduna in 1980 to cover water corporation. They catered for my transport, they catered for my accommodation, feeding, etc. Under ethics, my station should have done that, but we have a lot of things going on. Number 10, and the last one under that, real reporting. Real reporting. Don't expect to write a complete report if you have not done some first-hand reporting. You are putting a novice, somebody who is doing attachment, industrial attachment, who has no experience in reporting. You have to attach him to a reporter. Join this person, but you leave that person to an event. That person will mess you up. A pandemic is not an excuse. You owe it to your readers to gather facts yourself. Don't just repeat what you saw in a report or a press release. You must have a nose for news, just like a striker in sports report, in football. A striker that does not have a nose for goals, what is called a chance in football, he can't go far. I'll give you an example. The latest story I wrote was on this girl that appeared for Canada, Simisola. I stumbled on somebody who is an old schoolmate. We both went to Ogun State Polytechnic together. I'm sure he will be watching me right now from Abeokuta. And he said to me, Simisola's mother and my wife were classmates at command school. I thought that was news. I could develop it. So I went to the internet, dug more information about Simisola, and I'm sure some of you have read the story. And some people are contesting it even from Ghana. Why should you say Nigerian jollof is better than Ghana jollof? These are the things that stimulate sports writing. We are not talking about football. We are talking about what she prefers to eat. And by that, a lot of people are circulating the stories in Ghana. So let's move forward now to news writing fundamentals. News writing fundamentals. The first thing there, subheading, reporting. I may be saying some things that are looking similar, but I'm just giving us fundamentals before we go into the actual sports thing. But these things we are discussing also apply to sports journalism. One of the most fundamental differences between journalism and other forms of writing is the way journalists obtain the information they write about. Journalists obtain information through a variety of reporting techniques, which can include interviewing sources, looking through government documents, researching old articles, and observing events firsthand. For example, in that of Simisola, I had to go back to our school records, where I discovered that she was a singer, good in academics. She was also an athlete. She got the best records in 4x100 meters, 4x400 meters. It looks interesting to read. So somebody reading, so she doesn't only play football, she can run. I'm sure some of the sports journalists here listening to me will be thinking, how can NFF, Nigerian Football Federation, go and get that girl to play for Nigeria? The father is from Idonre. Idonre is in Ondo State. The mother is from Lagos. She should be qualified to play for Nigeria at the senior level. I mean, to play for the Super Falcons. That is when you dig into some people's background. Good news writing begins with good, accurate reporting. Journalists perform a public service for citizens by presenting truthful facts in honest, straightforward articles. Now, let's look at news values. News values. What information to give first in a news article and in the lead? For those of us who did news reporting, lead can be spelled L-E-D-E, like lede. I don't know how to pronounce that. I need Sonny and Rabot to teach me. L-E-D-E. We are going to talk about that. Which articles to display as news headlines? If it is newspaper, front page news. You know, a situation like under 20 is a world stage. When it comes, it's not going to be the first news headline. It's going to be probably the third news headline. There are some stations right now, they give 5 news headlines. It should be within the news headlines, especially when it concerns Nigeria. Are you getting me? Now, let's look at 6 news values. 6 news values. Timeliness. The first thing of the 6 news values, timeliness. Recent events have a higher news value than less recent ones. How can you be telling me about COVID-19 when monkeypox is the latest thing now? I mean, I would just be looking at you, my friend, move. How can you be telling me about African Super Falcons at the African Women Finals when right now we are playing World Under 20 Female Finals? Number 2, proximity. We are talking about news values now. The second thing in news value is proximity. Stories taking place in one's hometown or community are more newsworthy than those taking place far away. One of the first things I learned in my newsroom in 1979 was what we call news alignment. I'm sure those who have worked in the newsroom, not those who are on the field as reporters, when you say news alignment, you start from state news, national news, African news, and then world news in that order. That's what we are calling, talking about proximity. Proximity. The third one is prominence. Prominence. Famous people and those in the public eye have a higher news value than ordinary citizens. There is one that we are going to meet when we talk about media law. I don't forget it. When Omololu Olunloyo, a professor of mathematics, was executive governor of your state, there was a case. He went to an Owambe party in Ibadan, Amala party in Ibadan. He was drunk and he slept off. That was news headline for Punch newspaper. When we get to the media law, you will get it. You can highlight, like I highlighted that of Simi. She was famous. One of the best players for Canada. But she's a Nigerian. That should be a topic because media role is to develop agenda. I'm sure some people will be talking, just like Anthony Joshua, when you dig to the background, he wanted to box for Nigeria in the Olympics. We rejected him. He went to Britain. Why are we having such things that many Nigerians are playing for countries abroad and coming against us in competitions? Number 4, uniqueness or oddity. uniqueness, or oddity. A story with a bizarre twist or strange occurrences. Man bites dog instead of dog bites man. Now, these are things that you will learn in the first week in news writing. What is the oddity about a football match? The oddity when a football match was stopped by tear gas shooting police officers. Why? A fan killed their dog. That's news above that football match. Police, I'm just taking this off head now, didn't happen. Police in Lagos suddenly stopped a match at the National Stadium by throwing tear gas in the 2022 Challenge Cup series when their dog was stabbed to death by a football fan. That's oddity. It goes under oddity. Now, let's go to number 6, the last one there, because we have to move forward. Conflict. Conflict. If it bleeds, it leads. I'm quoting. If it bleeds, it leads. Stories which thrive, whether it's actual violence or not, are more interesting. Stories with. Now, there was something that happened. I think that was, I'm trying to remember, I think that was 1984, when the Abiola Babes of Nigeria had to play Rocan Football Club of Republic of Benin. Rocan is a French word for sharks football club. Dodo Mayana, Peter Rufai, was then the goalkeeper for Rocan Football Club of Republic of Benin. And they had to play Abiola Babes. Then some people came breaking eggs. They were breaking eggs on the field. Field of play, breaking eggs. And the Abiola Babes boys said, we are not going to continue this match. How can they be breaking? This is African juju. And all of us know what happened at the African Cup of Nations with Ghana. There are conflicts where you are protesting. There is a goalkeeper I remember very well. I have interest in the goalkeeper. His name is Juma Pondamali. Juma Pondamali. He was goalkeeper for Pan-African of Tanzania. I remember him in 1980. He came to play against the Shooting Stars of Ibadan. And they were playing, was it Shooting Stars or Super Eagles? No, Shooting Stars of Ibadan, sorry. It was at the Liberty Stadium. The executive governor then was Ajibola Idowige, Bolaige. And I remember there was his media officer, Dakwadeniola. Dakwadeniola, to some of the journalists that are old here, is called Africa. We call him Africa amongst us. Mudashiru Babatunde Lawal was the one who suspected the goalkeeper had some charms on his legs. It was on his right leg. You know, they wear socks. Another word for socks is holes in football. And so Muda deliberately tackled him and the charm was exposed. They said they should not touch it. Samuel Ojebode, the captain of the Shooting Stars, is a son of a Babalawo from Ogbomoso. He said, I will touch this charm, and he took it, ran and gave it to Lekon Salami, who the late Chief Lekon Salami transferred it. The charm was in, the match was stopped for a while. That was news. I'm not talking of live commentaries now. I was not on live commentaries. Tolu Fatoyinbo was handling the live commentary of that football match in 1980. But when you want to write the news, my friend, don't come and write to me that Shooting Stars won. That's not news. The news was that a charm was discovered and the match was held up. All right, let's move on now. Can we? Let's talk about slander or libel. I told you we are coming to media law. It is very important that every journalist, every reporter must know about slander or libel. What is slander? Slander is a false or unsupported malicious statement. Spoken, not written. It's important you know that. Slander is when you talk. It is spoken, it is not written. Especially one which is injurious to a person's reputation. The making of such a statement has to be recorded. It is to speak ill of somebody or a people. I'm not talking of stereotype. I've forgotten the name of the person who propounded the theory of stereotype. Walter Lippmann. Walter Lippmann. Stereotype, something that is like they say, Igbo people are business people. Ijebu people are money people. It's a stereotype.
Don't
I'm
talk
not
again.
talking about that.
Weekend, you're not.
I'm not talking. When you are in OB point, you don't talk when you are in OB point. OB point means outside broadcast. It is a law in broadcasting that you don't talk where your voice can enter into the microphone. We must know that it's a law. Your station can dismiss you if you talk around the OB point. Please, let's note that. So I was talking about slander. Now, let's talk about libel. Libel is defined as the published defamation of a person's character based on misleading or inaccurate facts. That's libel. It is published. You can document it. Yes, I was talking about libel. I said it's difficult for anybody to sue a radio station for libel, because how do you get access to the news bulletin of a radio station? Except there's an insider who is selling the radio station, who has made copies and given it out. The radio station will not submit that to the court. But I was referring to Omololu Olunloyo's case. You can go to any library and find this out. Omololu Olunloyo sued Punch for, I will give you the title of the court case, what they call embarrassing private fact. Embarrassing private fact. That was the title of the case. That it was the Punch embarrassing by publishing that he slept off. By publishing that he slept off and was drunk. So they have portrayed him as a drunk governor. The court judgment was that Omololu Olunloyo is a public figure, and therefore Punch has the right to publish anything about a public figure. My personal advice, don't do that when some political parties are on now, they will kill you. So, there is another case by Rex Odukmokoko and the Lagos State government. You can go and research that as a reference for you, for those who are interested in media law. One of the easiest ways to protect oneself from libel is to make sure to always do accurate reporting and to attribute all information to an article. Beware of rumors, gossip, and information you receive from an anonymous and unreliable source. Sources are all dangerous to report. Sources that are very dangerous to report. Be careful. And they could ruin your the risk of a libel case. All right, let's talk about lead. L-E-A-D. Lead. I told you another word for lead is lede. L-E-D-E. the lead or leader of a news article is the first sentence. Please, this is important for every journalist to know it. Whether you are in broadcast or you are in print, it is absolutely important that the lead of a news article is the first sentence. In broadcast, we call it intro, usually written as one paragraph that tells the most important information of the story. Most important of the story. It has given us what we want to read about. The Falconets of Nigeria on Saturday morning swallowed their counterparts from Canada 3-1 in the last group match of the World Under-20 Female Football Cup in Costa Rica. So you know what you are reading about. Oh, I'm reading about the victory of Nigeria. I'm reading about the event. I'm also reading where the event took place in one paragraph called the lead. So when writing the lead, it is helpful to use the tell a friend. There is a strategy we use in news writing. We call it tell a friend. So with that paragraph, oh, have you heard Nigeria beat Canada 3-1? World Under-20 in Costa Rica. Very easy to tell a friend. We quote it, tell a friend. It's a strategy of news writing. Imagine you had to sum up to a friend in one sentence what your story is about. It comes from your lead. How would you sum up quickly what happened? A story's lead answers the 5 W's in a specific way. You know, the 5 W's, the basic introductory to journalism, the who, what, when, where, and why. Are you getting it? So let's move on. I'm jumping some things about this. All right, let's go to inverted pyramids. Inverted pyramids. Yes, I can see it on the slide. Inverted pyramid. The inverted pyramid is important. News articles are written in a structure known as the inverted pyramid. Every journalist must know that. In the inverted pyramid format, the most newsworthy information goes at the beginning of the story, and the least newsworthy information goes at the end. Now, you can see that in the slide. The number one thing in the bigger aspect of that slide is lead, which I call the intro. Lead, which I call the intro. Is somebody following me? Then you put most important facts. On the list is what we call background. Background. In journalism, we say tie back. Tie back. T-I-E. Then you put the tie back. Tie back is a technical word that, okay, in this, Nigeria had made 5 appearances in the quarterfinals. Nigeria qualified this number this year. And getting into it, into the next quarterfinals, is a repetition of their past feats. That's a tie back. It comes at the back. But today, we have people who put it. After you have written your story's lead, order the information that follows in terms of importance to the least important. Let's go to the next one, attributing information. Attributing information. All information in a news item must be attributed to the source where the reporter got his information from. Chairman of the APC, that's an attribution, told me that there will be no football match to be played at the Moshood Abiola Stadium. You begin to wonder, what has chairman of APC got to do with football match at Moshood Abiola? That is what he said. Then I may now go and develop it. It is to prepare the stadium for their political rally. What authority does he have to say that? That's another kettle of fish. Attribute your stories. Tell us who is giving you this information. But you may need to protect your source. The source is spelled S-O-U-C-E. You may need to protect your source. One of the things I learned in my study of news reporting as far back as 1980 was that you must protect your reporter's notebook. And if you have a phone, that time we didn't have phones like this, you must protect them, because when the police catch you or arrest you, the first thing they want to look at who are your contacts. What do you have in your phone book? What are the names? Who are those who talk to you? And under the law, you are not to give names of your sources. Even every judge knows that. The law protects journalists. Are we getting it? Now, there is integrating quotes. The first source time a source is introduced is an article. You should use that source's full name and title. After this initial reference, use the last name alone. For example, even in news reading, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, when you are reading the news, we call it casting the news. They give me in the headlines, the way I will mention his name, Major General Muhammadu Buhari. But when it's in the body of the news, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, you can see there is a drop in intonation. But under that news, General Buhari said, or Buhari said, I may remove the title. I may not use the first name. So note that it is called integrating quotes when you drop some of the information that you are supposed to give. Now let's go to the heart of it. Qualities of sports journalists, reporter or commentators. Yeah, we are now in the heart of everything. Quality of sports journalists, reporter or commentators. Number one, you must be a researcher. You must have the attitude to find out. When I was talking about Simi, the last report I did, I told you I went to Google. I also tried to reach the mother. The mother was source of information for me. I even have on my phone the program of the burial of the grandmother in Lagos last December. I didn't mention the grandmother. That was not relevant to me. The news that was relevant to me was that, oh, she's still in contact with Nigeria. She came last December. And I had to introduce, oh, she ate jollof rice. She ate jollof rice was something I got about his hobbies from another source. But I brought it in probably to let you think, oh, when she came to Nigeria, she ate jollof rice. I wasn't sure she ate jollof rice when she came. Probably she ate amolangbegiri. You must be a researcher. You must search about players. Who is the most valuable player in that team? How much he plays in there? And this thing in your head.
Okay, so while we wait for Reverend, I think we can talk to ourselves. I think his battery is down and he needs to recharge. So what have we learned? Go ahead, Mr. Bat.
We have learned so much. I'm telling you, especially the aspect of news writing. I write for broadcasts. It has really helped me to understand more about news writing for broadcasts. But my only worry is that most sports journalists are always the use of tenses. They're always very guilty of the use of tenses. They don't always obey the rule of tenses in their reports. I think that should be a concern to all of us, mostly sports journalists. The use of tenses is a problem.
Okay, use of tenses is a problem. I think we will wait for Reverend Olatunji to tell us more about the use of tenses. Okay, while waiting for him, can Deji Balogun please go ahead?
Yeah, thank you very much. My reaction is to Ogabas. Ogabas, just as the lecturer said, we have our register, we have a sports register. So if you think it's like, for example, Nigeria are, Arsenal are, is not Arsenal is. So we have a sports register in the English language, and we use that freedom. We employ that freedom when we write and when we speak. So sports English is different from the newsroom English. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that clarity. Now, Wakego, unmute yourself. Let's listen to you.
Okay, thank you very much, fantastic BB. Good morning, everyone. I'm actually in Owerri, and I joined in a few minutes ago, but the part I heard, I got a bit confused concerning the part he said that journalists or media houses can't be sued for libel. How do we handle that, given that the advent of social media seems to have complicated this issue for us? Because whereas the radio or the media house may not want to release their op-air dub, what do you do when you have people who willingly devote their time to recording programs on radio stations with or without even having any background whatsoever of journalistic training? That is on the one hand. And then on the other hand, talking about sources, he said, when he was spelling, he said it's spelled S-O-U-C-E. So I got confused. Does that mean that the spellings that we've been seeing so far, or we've been making use of so far, is wrong? Thank you.
Thank you, Wakego. Reverend has joined us, and I'm sure he listened to your questions. Maybe he should start from there. Reverend, please go ahead.
I did get the question last part.
Okay, she said, and I did listen to that S-O-U-C-E is the spelling of source. When we are sourcing, that is the source of our information. So she got confused because the R is not there. And the R, with the R, we have S-O-U-R-C-E. So she wanted to be sure if the spelling you gave us is the right spelling. Thank you, sir.
Spelling I gave the spelling of the R. S-A-E. Sauce in your kitchen. Simple. Can we move?
Okay, Reverend. This is Emeka Odipo. Let me quickly add to what Deji said about Bath complaining about the use of language in sports reporting or sports commentary, and he said the fact is that there is a register for sports journalism. But again, I just want to add that If you are using the register and you are saying shooting stars have, for instance, or Rangers have, then you have to be consistent. I think that's what Bart may be saying, because we use have here, use has here, use where here, I use was there. And so that makes it a bit confusing to somebody who is not part of that arm of journalism. That's what I just want to add.
Thank you very much, Dr. Odipo. We still have some hands, but I think we should allow Reverend Olatunji to finish his lecture, or will I call it his paper, and then we take all the questions at the same time.
Supported, ma.
Yes, thank you very much. So, Azuka Chiemeka, unmute yourself and let's listen to you.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Hello. Good morning.
Yeah, it's a very big privilege and opportunity to be part of this forum. I'm joining from Warri Delta State. My question and also contribution is, I work in the newsroom. I'm the sports editor of my station. I've always had issues with some of my colleagues who are not sports or who grew up not knowledgeable of how sports terms are used. So most times when I edit reports, I make corrections, just like the use of most of those tenses and words. They frown and they begin to explain that they don't understand how I could use such tenses when the conventional style is the way it should go. So most times it becomes a big issue for me. And I then refer to the in-house style, excluding the knowledge of the sports background that I got, sports reporting or sports commentary write-up that I got. And secondly, while he was talking, while Dr. or Reverend was talking, he made emphasis about getting in touch with your source as well as protecting your source. He even made a reference to what I want to talk about. When you want to reach most of the PRO, or you call them media officers of clubs, especially in Nigeria, they are never there. They make excuses, we'll get back to you, they will do this. And if you go ahead and write your report on such incident, they later come back blaming you, even feeling that perhaps you're biased about the team or the club. My question here is, how do we tackle this? Do we still go ahead and write our report, believing that when they get back to us, if there's an addition or an omission to be done, you do it? For example, there was a time there was a news about Canopilla, where they had issues. Their club chairman had an altercation with the officials of the game. I contacted the media officer of Canopilla, Malakawa, who told me he would get back to me. And he stood me up for a while, and I was unable to write that story. I eventually went ahead, wrote it. But when he got back to me, he was furious. He was definitely upset the way my story was written. And it really, really did not go down well with me. So I want Reverend to please advise on what we do in such situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that beautiful question. We still have the challenge of probably the internet service with Reverend Olatunji. So while waiting for you, Deji Balogun, can you attempt to answer that question?
Azuka, I think Reverend mentioned it along the line. You have to, when you contact somebody and the person is standing you, in your report, indicate that you contacted that person. That is an indisputable fact. Once you say you contacted that person, then that takes care of that angle. Let the person be furious, let the person, so far you are sure of what you have written. You see, the point is that you must be sure of what you are writing. And then, because you want to balance your story, you want to reach out to the aggrieved party or the other party, and they're not forthcoming, then you have to let them know that, okay, I tried to reach the Federal Minister of Information and Culture, but so person or the media officer or the media team stood me up or said they will get back to me. As at the time of writing, as at the time of reporting, they're yet to get back to me, period. I hope that takes care of your question.
That is the second question. The first question, he was asking if by being a mango tree and is planted in the same garden with the orange tree, he has to change to be an orange tree. He was
the bottom line, I said it, and Dr. Emeka Odipo emphasized on it. You have to be consistent. There's a register. That much I know that we have. I know that I had a personal experience while at Lagos Television heading the sports desk, and the director of news had challenges with sports reporting, and the person in charge of the master control room, and she was trying to change some of the things. And I went to meet her. I said, "Ma, please don't ever change anything in sports, because we have our own English." And I took that from Etubombasi, who of course also read English, and he you know the Basi I'm talking about. And then he, like Dr. Emeka Odipo, rose to the pinnacle of the career.
Okay, let me quickly answer the question.
Thank you.
Of the man from Delta. You are in a good position, my brother, that you contacted the Kano Pillars PRO and he didn't answer you. You have a publication time, that is a broadcast time. You have a deadline. You must keep to your deadline. If I were your director of news and current affairs, you don't keep to deadline, I will sack you. You have to protect your job. And you don't need to listen to him making noise. That why should you tell him to his face, do the needful, go to the court. He knows the meaning. Next time, he may not even be a news source to you. Don't bother about him. They need your publicity. He will dance back to you. But put in your news while you are broadcasting it or writing it that we contacted the PRO of Kano Pillars and he has not been forthcoming with developments. You have mentioned about his angle. Under the law, you are not guilty. Now, concerning your colleagues, that's the next thing I want to talk about, qualities of sports journalists, reporters, and commentators. We are going to learn about the language there. Every profession has their language and jargonries. Every profession, they have their language and jargonries. Are you getting what I'm saying? So they must flow with you. Some of us don't know what is a hat trick. We don't know what is a brace. If you observe my news stories that I write, I will have to explain in bracket. A brace is 2 goals scored in 1 match. A hat trick is 3 goals scored in 1 match. They may be your professional colleagues. You may even have gone to the same university and studied mass communication together. But don't forget that you developed yourself to be in sports, and you must use the language of sports. So if you are the sports editor, everything is on your desk to write the correct words. That's my answer to you, my brother. Let's talk about the qualities of sports journalists, reporter or commentators. I said number 1 is that you must be a researcher. You must be a researcher. That's the first thing. You must show evidence of research, like who are past winners or highest scorers. My first week in journalism class, Dr. Femi Shonaike. He was an editor with the Daily Times. He was the first HOD of Mass Comm Department of Ogun State Polytechnic. He taught me that a journalist must know something about everything and everything about something. I'll repeat that. A journalist must know something about everything and everything about something. There is a place of experience, but education and constant upgrade of it gives you class. You must upgrade yourself. That is what will give you class. Please, we can ask questions later. I can see hands are raising. All right, let's go to number 2 of qualities of a sports journalist. Every professional work has their jargonries or language. That was where the man from Warri was picking me up on. You have the carpet crossing is a language of politics. New signing is a language of sports. You cannot tell me, or send a report to me as your sports editor, and you tell me that Ronaldo has cross-carpeted from Barca or whichever club to Man U. I will change your words. As now signed in for Man U. That's the correct word in sports language. A football commentator or reporter must know the language of football. In corner kicks, what is an in-swinger or out-swinger? If you're a live football commentator, you should be able to know, oh, the way he's poised to take the corner kick. He's going to use the left to take it. That means he's going to be an in-swinger. But when he's going to use a right, he's going to be an out-swinger. That is, he's going to play it to the center for people to nod it in. When it is going to be an in-swinger, all these ones are languages of sports. What is a brace? What is hat trick? I've told you. Know the idioms like he sold a dummy. Emeka Odipo always use, and he sold a dummy. Shina Abimbola will like to use a ricochet. A ricochet is when the ball bounces off an object or player. You must know what is an upright. The ball hit the horizontal bar. It hit the upright. He's talking about the goalpost. Those are the languages. Number 3, about qualities, be familiar with rules. You have to be familiar with rules of every competition. Rules changes. Under 17 World Cup started in 1987 with 40 minutes per half. Today, they play 45 minutes. So if you are now writing, the referee added time. No, you don't know the rules. Nigeria won the maiden edition, beating Germany 2-0 in China, if you remember. And the highest goal scorer scored 6 goals. I'm taking it from my head. It's one Aberdeen boy that is now based in America. You should know that when a player pulls off his shirt while celebrating a goal, that attracts a yellow. Today, if you wear a singlet under your shirt with an inscription of any kind, like I love Jesus or Allah is the greatest, that attracts instant yellow card. Instant yellow card. You should know that. You should know the role of video assistant referees. It's a latest introduction into football. We call them VAR, in rule enhancement and verification of actions. So you should know, well, they are verifying whether it's a handball goal, the hand of God, like that of Diego Maradona in the 1984 World Cup. If there were VAR at that time, VAR would have discovered it. Are you following me? Let's go to the 4th one. When on live commentaries, make it exciting that captures your audience with your mastery of English, your mastery of the language you are using. I once listened to a live commentary on Yoruba, and I was wondering, if I don't understand the Yoruba, I would have been lost. But English, which is a universal language, you must have a mastery of the language. Give no 1 minute to your listener with report of where the ball is, what the player is likely to do. A good commentator can read a game well. Ernest Okonkwo taught me that I should be able to know who will win a match within the first 20 minutes. I should be able to know the strategies they are using. With your research knowledge of team capabilities, you can predict. You can predict. A typical radio commentator is a natural talkative because we are trained to talk 120 minutes non-stop. You lose concentration and bring repeated slangs like or you get my point, you know those slangs, and get my point. You fail in training. Commentators are good in spoken English and coin slangs like ricochet, which I told you, Shina Bimbola. I think Shina Bimbola should have credit for that. I'm not sure whether Shina Bimbola is on the online now. You remember Dean of Defense, Yisasho Foluwe, mathematical Modegbami, Quicksilver, Silvanus Opala. Because Silvanus Opala is always playing a fast game. All right, let's go to, I think, the last one now on that of a sports commentator. Every journalist should strive to be good in precision journalism. Precision journalism is a new course in mass communication. Precision, Precision, precision journalism. It is a reporter's introduction to social science methods. It describes ways of using the quantitative tools of the social sciences, including surveys, analysis, and statistics to promote accuracy in journalism. The man from Warri told us that his colleagues are always complaining. There is a platform called Grandmaster, operated by Sheson Ekishola. I wrote it there and I said, statistically, Canada cannot beat Nigeria. That one is not queried me. He said, what do you mean by statistically? Because when you look at the statistics of either of the current tournament or past involvement of Canada and Nigeria, head to head, whatever, no, Canada is no match for Nigeria. Are you getting it? And this is good when you want to review, for example, the group stages. How many cards? Which group scored the highest goals? And so on and so forth. Then you'll be able to know. For example, Nigeria is meeting Holland. A preview of that, if you want to write a preview, you should be able to go to the statistics. You can get that on Google. You can get that from FIFA records of each game. They will tell you every game, how many yellow cards, who and who scored, what minute, how many reds, how many foul. The statistics of each match is in every on the spot of FIFA panel. If they play a match right now, you'll be seeing it every moment. Halftime, you see statistics. Full time, you see statistics. Now, when you now transfer those statistics to a paper and you correlate them, you'll be able to know the defense of how many goals did Holland concede. How many goals did Nigeria concede? Oh, that means the defense of Nigeria is good. That is what we call precision journalism. And that's why many people wonder, oh, you write that this one will win, because I use precision journalism. This area of journalism helps a lot in reporting figures in meaningful ways. Chris Anyanwu once made a comparison of the price of a bottle of Coca-Cola with the price of a liter of petrol. I'm sure some of us will remember that. When you can compute statistics in football, you will easily know the strength and weakness of a team. All right, let's go to the last aspect now, then you will ask your questions. The difference between news writing and commentaries on radio. This one is not so much. The difference between news writing and commentaries on radio. We are talking particularly about radio now. We are not talking of a newspaper, print. Radio news is a condensed report of the live commentaries. The editor may not allow you to write more than 10 paragraphs. Radio news is better with short news inserts that we call actualities. I don't know what name you call it now. In my own days, my editor will ask, do you have actualities there? That is, do you have news inserts? The report usually brings the news itself and introduces other things like interviews and correspondent report. That means he's asking for my own report, which I will say I will ad lib, or I have written it down, recorded it, and I'm supplying it not more than 2 minutes, 30 seconds. For example, Nigeria's Falconers playing in the World Cup in early hours of today in Costa Rica defeated their counterparts from Canada 3-1. Our sports editor, ENIOLA Olatunji, reports from Soto Stadium in Costa Rica. Bam. In your script, you will write in bracket play insert. You will write Q in. I'm sure some of us are familiar with this script because the newsreader may not come from news department. The newsreader may not even know what you are writing or what you are saying. When you write Q in, that newsreader and the studio manager has already set your tape. Q in, Nigeria went 1 goal down, he knows. And when he hears you have written Q out, I am ENIOLA Olatunji. Immediately he hears ENIOLA, I am ENIOLA Olatunji. The news reader also knows immediately after that is on. That's the first thing. Second one, the report should be called from, the report could be called from another news channel. Make sure all photographs, now in when you are talking about print media, photographs, reports have proper credits or captions. In broadcast, we talk about labeling. You label them. You label your tape. That insert, you must label it properly. If you don't label it properly, they might go and play one political interview for you. Before you submit your news report, you must label them properly. Number 3, in live sports commentaries, you ad lib. Ad lib is an abbreviation of ad libitum. I'm going to spell that. It's ad, A-D, space, L-I-B-I-T-U-M. Some of us are not told what is the full name of ad lib. Now you know. Ad lib, which means speaking extemporaneously without script. You don't have a script. Emeka Odipo doesn't have script when he's running football commentaries, either locally or internationally. How can he have a script? He cannot. Commentary rendition is a teamwork. You need to get that into your medulla oblongata, into your senses. That is a teamwork. You have lead commentator, you have guest commentator, you have analysts, you have stringers who supply information, and they may conduct interviews from any direction. It's always beautiful when you allow them to conduct interviews on the field because your commentary position is located somewhere else, up where you can see the stadium very well. All right. I've just finished with the third one. The fourth one, transmission lines. And this is the last one I'm going to talk about. Then I'll take your questions and we'll listen to contributions. Transmission lines. I just want to talk about this because there are developments. The subtitle is transmission lines. The broadcast modes before was to rig post and telecommunication telephone lines. We call them NITEL lines. They have places where you have telephone lines of those days, and you can connect into the studios from there. When we talk about television, Tunde Orebi will tell you that they use satellite broadcasting, where we have 2 leg transmissions. For example, the match in Costa Rica or matches in Costa Rica, the signals are sent from Costa Rica to a place, a base where we call Lanlate in Ogun State, from where signals are redirected to the studio, normally Ikoyi, Lagos, or Abuja, and then from there, they pick it up to all the other stations. There is a vast improvement today, as direct links are provided in every stadium to transmit audio and visual signals. You can even do it on your phone. We learned that in the last training that we had. And I learned a lot about some applications. I wish I could have that recording so that I can follow the applications that our lecturer then advised us to put on our phones. Now, I stop here. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Reverend Olatunji. Now I know why you can talk on and on. Say that we appreciate you this morning. And to my colleagues, it's time for questions, comments. Mona, can we now listen to you? Benjamin and Mona.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Benjamin, and I'm connecting from Anambra State. So it's nice to meet veterans in the sporting sector, especially journalists. Actually, I've learned a lot from Dr. or should I say Uncle Deji, whoever. So, and then I've learned from other sports veterans here. And the ironic thing or the interesting thing is that I was given examples of such people who I'm meeting for the first time. So it's a wonderful experience for me to meet those whom I was taught while in school, as in to meet them in this live Zoom meeting. So my question is this: the doctor made mention of the fact that in radio, that if you do anything defamatory in radio, that you are sued for slander. Now that got me confused because while in school I was taught that radio programs are always scripted, and the doctor made mention to the fact that the libel is a published defamation, and when something is published, it should be in permanent form. So if a radio is slander, then what if that sports presenter is reading from a script? Can't it be qualified as a libel? That is one question. Now, second question is about him talking about accuracy, all the news values that we have, timeliness, auditing, and so on and so forth. But my question is, with the rate of things in Nigeria, level of poverty, the level of insecurity, the level of corruption, level of brown enveloping, and so on and so forth, can such things be practiced in Nigeria? As in, what consideration, what will I say? And do you still have journalists or sports writers who can as well boast or make claim that yes, I am adhering to these principles. I do not collect bribe. I'm accurate in my reports. I'm factual, because I've read many reports while in school. I've read many. I'm a sport lover. I love reading sports stories. Sometimes I get to see incorrect reports, and sometimes I don't blame them, because they say he who pays piper calls the tune. If you are being paid, you obviously must dance to the tune of whoever has paid you. So the question is, can all these things be practiced, or are there some let's say clauses that can give journalists the exception? Okay, once you're in this situation, you may become inaccurate, or maybe once you are in this kind of situation, you may become non-factual, something like that. Are there some clauses, some exceptions to these principles? So the two question is, are there some exception? Number two is the radio's libel or slander, whatever the case. I think it is libel, but the doctor has said it's slander. So I want to be clarified. When is it a slander? When is it a libel? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mona. We commend you. It means you listened to the training. Reverend Olatunji, would you quickly like to start, or we take more questions?
Let me quickly, because the questions are not some things that we will deal with for long. You see, okay. I was explicit that when it is radio, because what you give out is not your script. Who can prove that you wrote a script? You can tell them that you had lived in the studio. You can't prove that. It is even in television, you can't prove that I'm reading from a script. So even in court, if you demand for my script, I told you the radio station will not supply it. They will say we talk. But we know that we are taught to write scripts. And that script, how many of us submit our scripts to our principal producers? Our principal editors. So I'm still insisting that radio is slander. Legal people will tell you, I'm interested in media law. They will tell you that it is when you get to court, you prove. Maybe when somebody is into it, you can ask me, I will defend you, Abi Nicho. Or how do they call it? So the second one which is about brown envelopes. I remember that it depends on news media. Guardian newspaper, I give them credit for that. You can ask anybody from Guardian newspaper in the 80s, and that led to my choosing to do that research as my master's thesis. In the 80s, Guardian newspaper made it a law. No reporter or anybody of their staff must collect brown envelopes. But when I was doing my research, I discovered they had problems. You may not collect brown envelopes, but you may collect what we call freebies. Freebies. Freebies is, okay, eat, take this drink. We give you this singlet. It's part of it. They give us singlets and bags during tournaments, and we collect. And I said in my thesis that we have problems. Take, for example, you go and report a traditional ruler, and the traditional ruler says, take this for your transport. You have violated a traditional rule that an elderly person is giving you something. So there is conflict. I concluded then that you must follow professional ethics, explain to the traditional ruler, Baba, I'm sorry, I can't take. That's for you. Can we move on to another question?
Thank you very much, sir. I have Gloria Ohagu. Your question, please.
Distinguished veterans, respected colleagues, good morning, the Reverend himself. Thank you so very much, Mr. Odipo and Deji Balogun for providing insight, because I have always wondered why sports lexicon always seems to confuse the regular English I studied and learned. So this is great illumination for me. But let's go back to you, Reverend. I think someone had earlier asked the spelling of your source which you attribute your content. Is it an S-O-U-R-C-E, source, or you still maintain that it's an S-O-U-C-E? Please clarify that. Thank you, everyone, and have a pleasant Saturday.
All right, Glo in journalism, there is what we call printer's devil. Printer's devil is when there is an error. Today, you call it typo error. S-O-U-R-C-E, I repeat again, is what I wanted to spell. There is nothing like S-O-U-C-E. I can't find that in the dictionary. So please, let's correct that. It must be a typo error to have omitted the R. And I've explained to you that it is not the one that...
Doctor.
All right.
Probably Ogus, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Veterans and Reverend, thank you very much, sir. My question is more or less two in one. The first one is the aspect of the radio commentary or radio reporting. And I'm asking, what is the appropriate pace there's this thing with sports journalists, and they always see us like we are too fast. Is there a peculiar pace when it comes to sports commentary? And when I mean sports commentary, I don't just mean live, sir. I mean even sports reporting. And is there a peculiar pace we should maintain? Secondly, another thing is, we talked about it a bit, that is in the area of pronunciation and the way we speak. Is there a particular way we should speak? Or are we meant to conform to the norm of journalistic way of speaking, if there is anything like that, sir? So this is my question. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for your patience, too. Reverend?
Yeah. I need to quickly give you a lesson on question formats. Question formats, because you said you have 2 questions. There are 3 kinds of questions format that I can remember. I think there are 5. Number 1, we call it pencil question format. Pencil. That is when you shoot 1 question. You have 1 question. The second one I remember is bullet questions. Bullet. It can come 2, 3. The third one is cartridge questions. You have many questions at the same time. All right? Just get that into your system. Now, when you talk about language, how you pronounce, I remember the first news I took in my life in 1979, I wee-weed on myself. One man called Bola Makinde has a very deep baritone voice, just like you, Brian, that breaks the diaphragm of microphones.
Don't mind that foolish boy. He's in London now.
Bola Makinde. Now, Bola Makinde pronounced the title of the Oba of Ile-Ife. The title is pronounced Oni. Oni, but he pronounced it Oni of Ife. Oni Yoruba language means crocodile. That means he has called him Crocodile of Ile-Ife. Yomi Onobolu, one of the greatest veterans in news reading, just called the newsroom. Who are those who are there? All the Indeshoa guys were not around. Willie Thomas, Cheswa Kishola, they were not around. So he came to the newsroom. Is there anybody that has been reading, is presenting his scripts or programs? They said, Yomi Kazim. That was my name then. And he told me I was going to take a major news next. Hey! I said, that is the end of my career. You see, in sports broadcasting, that is forgiving. Because you have so many difficult names in Africa to pronounce them. I didn't talk about it. They must give you team lists. There is a way we write it on paper. You write them positionally with their jersey number so that that paper is in front of you. That's how you see these sports commentators. They are telling you the names and they can tell you their location on the field because they have their jersey number and they have their names. Are you getting it? But you must have asked for the pronunciation of the names, not only in news writing, but also, so try and ask for pronunciation of names. There is a name in Ogun State that almost made me lose my job. He was a member of the State House of Assembly. His name is Suru Patience. That's the translation in English. And the father's name is Kikisuhu. So I pronounce it Kikisuhu, as if you are pronouncing a Japanese name. No, I was corrected. It is Kikisuhu. Don't ask me for the meaning. Even Suru, you have to pronounce it well. So learn how to pronounce, especially when it is not a live program. That's how I can answer your question.
Sorry, baby. I think, Doctor, I think the clarity he might have really asked for in that was, is the pace for live commentary different from the pace for news reading? Because
they're very different.
Yes, that's what he wants to. I guess that's what he wants to do. Because
all right, for those of us who read the news, There is what we call prestigious posts in
Thank you,
news
Gloria.
regulation.
Thank you.
There is what we call prestigious posts. But in commentaries, I call it musical pauses. I'll give you an example. Sonny Rabot taught me prestigious pause. The head of state, or the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, will be visiting Lagos tomorrow. Can you see how I'm taking my breath, my space? But when it is in football commentaries, it has to be musical. This is JJ Okocha. He receives the ball. Oh, from the head. He puts it on the chest. He puts it on the lap, and he transmits it to the leg, to the right leg. He makes a dummy. He says a dummy. That is musical. There's no particular. You have to be fast with it, telling us the movements. That means you have to report where is the location of the ball on the head, where is the location next on the chest, where is the location now. He had brought it to his knees. It's part of that. Means you are telling us that JJ Okocha is a great man that can control the football. So when you are casting the news, your pace is different, absolutely different to when you are live on sports commentary. Kunle Olasope taught me how to know that a newscaster is sick. Because when the AC in your studio is too much for you, you are likely to be nasal. N-A-S-A-L. You are likely to be what? Nasal. You now speak through your nose. I know that a lot of people want to do like English people. They speak through the nose. But when you are in the studio and you are getting cold, you are likely to be nasal. But when you are on live sports commentary, hey, there is a difference. I didn't talk about microphones. Sorry, this is an addition. You have to know about microphones. You have to know nose mic is different to neck mic. You have to know what is boom mic. In sports commentaries, live sports commentaries, we use nose mic. So that the next person who is talking to you, even whispering to you, what he's saying will not enter the nose mic. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Can we move on now?
Thank you very much, sir. So we have 4 people. I need to quickly say 1 or 2 things, make comments. I'm going to call on Leo Aru. I'm going to call on Mario Ubong. And I'm going to call on Calvin. And finally, Tunde Orebi. These persons will give us short comments on what we have learned. And then we round off with Tony Ekata.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and special thanks to our daddy for this one.
Sorry,
this is Aro Leonard. Yeah, what I want to say is something that happened at the start of this session. A friend of mine sent me a message when our daddy was sharing about tips about news. And the guy said he came because he's a major he leads a sports unit. And he said he came in for this session because it was supposed to be about sports, but he's hearing something about news, that they are different. So I asked him, first, you have to be a journalist before you become a sports journalist. You have to be a broadcaster first before you become a sports broadcaster. And honestly speaking, that is one of the major problems we have across stations, across the country, even getting into the FRCN. Now there's Radio Nigeria and NTA these days, where these things are supposed to be, you go through the foundation first before you get to the next level. Now, this is something I want everybody to take out of here back to their stations. Most of our sports people know little or nothing about journalism. And that is why all we hear is yes, 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 no, no, no. Personally, I've learned so much from Baba today. I'm so grateful that even when I'm sharing with people, I have a lot of things to share. And the foundation must be there first before anybody starts doing sports. Then he said something about sports is not news. Then I asked, what's the definition of news? Maybe Baba will throw more light on the reason why sports is actually news. Thank you.
Sports is news. I don't know whether I mentioned that sports is not news. I said it's a specialized news, very special. We have different aspects. We have fashion news. There are several kinds of news: labor news, financial news, aviation news, education news. We call them beats in the newsroom. So that you are a sports journalist is a kind of specialty. And that's why I have problems with media management. I didn't say news management. Because when you're a specialist in something, there is a big word that we use in the training school at Ikoyi in those days. It is called compartmentalization. Compartmentalization. I repeat one more time. Compartmentalization, where you go and specialize. You are a specialist in an area. Medical people will go and they will first of all read medicine. After they have become medical doctors, you are still an errand boy. You go and specialize and become a guru, a master in an aspect of medicine. I think Emeka Odipo is now a specialist in developmental communication. So there are aspects. Are you getting what I'm saying? So when you, if you remember, there is somebody called Walter Cronkite. Walter Cronkite was a reporter. I'm not sure whether he's still in the media now. Was a reporter for CNN. Some of the people he brought up have become editors. Yet, he said he wants to remain a reporter. And that is what happened to Tolu Fatoyinbo, for example. Tolu Fatoyinbo is a notable sports commentator. Then they made him director of programs. I think it was when he left as director of programs that Emeka took over as head of outside broadcast. I can't remember exactly. But he has to be lobbying his way to go and join sports. Why don't we leave him there? Let him retire as a sports commentator. Let him impact on other people. But because, oh, you are developing, and you must be the head of this, head of that. There is this NTA guy who was head of sports, and he was made to be transferred to be NTA housing management, whatever. He's late now. He's a Yoruba guy. I've forgotten his name. It was no more available for us on the sports desk. So this is how I can answer you. Sports is a special news aspect. It's still news item. And sports is always under news and current affairs. Thank you.
My name is Chris Mario. Bon. I appreciate you, a great facilitator and a encyclopedia reverend himself. Is quite educative, quite informative. We appreciate. My apology, I came in late to the program because I was on transit. However, I want to quickly agree, or I have some little confusion over the issue what Reverend has just explained concerning speciality. I do know that even in the beats, as you said, the training schools now offer programs for particular specialties. Those who report aviation, maritime, financing, and the rest of it. I don't want us to, my concern is I don't want us to begin to group some kind of certain persons in the newsroom and say these are the skilled professional, while others are just flowing as journalists as such or reporters as such. That is my observation. Thank you very much.
Mario, you have put me in a tight corner because I believe in professionalism.
Thank you.
Mario, you put me in a tight corner You must have loved boxing.
I want to learn.
You must have loved boxing, because boxers, one of the hallmark is not only to give a 1-inch punch to your opponent, created by Muhammad Ali, it's also to put your opponent in a corner. Now, when we talk about specialization, I think the station and their audiences stand to benefit. They stand to benefit. When OGBC encouraged me a lot, my GM at that time, a prolific administrator, Taiwo is his name. I can't remember his first name. He's a well-known administrator. Taiwo will come and sit down with me. At that time, it was like I was the only one who could take the commentaries, the whole commentaries, 45 minutes. And at that time, Peter Okodwa, the late Peter Okodwa, couldn't. And the late DG Akinhomi, who later became OGTV manager, I handed over to him. They couldn't do commentary. Are you following me? So I still believe that managers should help us.
I'm following.
Please, Mario, do you understand?
I do now.
Please help us. It improves that person. He will be a master in that area. He will be a consultant in that area. He can bring us up in that area. I don't know what you want to talk about sports broadcasting that Emeka Odiku doesn't know about. He has been allowed to stay in that area. They could have thrown him to go and produce drama, go to educational services. Do you understand? I'm an advocate of specialization. That's what I can tell you.
Thank you very much, sir.
And now to Tunde Orebi.
Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. By the way, I want to start from where you actually talked about pronunciation. My name is Tunde Orebi, not Ore, not Orebi. So getting that one across is very, very key. I want to thank you very much. That's our lecturer for today. We need such a thing. I think it's long overdue. And using this opportunity to get to us, to be able to come clean with what we're doing. Some people at one time, they will tell you, I'm sure that Emeka, my friend who is there, will understand what I'm saying. But having gone through the meal with some other veterans like Ishola Folonsho, and of course, you've already explained everything that needed to be explained, except that still in the newsroom of today, most news editors don't want us to enjoy sports the way it should be enjoyed. That's talking about using our slangs. They still don't believe it should be done that way. We should go just the Queen English. And I still, with my colleague, we've been disagreeing with them that, look, this is sports slang and you must understand also, once we correct the state, they don't touch it. We are very lucky where we are. So what I want to just say is those particular ones, to let it stay. The lecture should stay. People who are coming behind us should understand us before we pass away, so that we don't just go away with some of these things. I will give you one instance. I told my one of the late SB Oshuntolu, that when are you going to write books for us, sir? He did not do it. I told my Oga Fabio Olanek Pekun, he did not do it. Now that people like you, Emeka, and some of us are still around, I think it's time that we put some of these things into practice so that those who are coming behind us can enjoy it. Thank you very much this morning. And I continue to join this team, in wishing, in getting the best out for our future commentators, writers, and their producers. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Uncle today you brought up some. Sorry,
Sorry, baby, because I am.
They leave me alone.
No,
I just want to ask one question to Oga Orebi, sir. This slang that you are talking about, are they globally recognizable and acceptable slangs, or are they Nigerian slangs? Thank you, sir.
Okay, there are two ways to it. The first one, for instance, swimming has its own language. Boxing has its own language. I can't use uppercut in swimming. I can only use it in boxing. I can't use pinfall in athletics. It can only go with wrestling and judo. I can only just use a choke, like that in judo. So they all have their name. They all have their own terminologies, which our editors should understand. They should let it stay. But on the other hand, some of the ones that I'm also talking about could be personal. For instance, my Oga, that's Ernest Okonkwo, brought up great names like we talked about mathematical, midfield maestro, talking about the lawyer, Amestemaka, Chief Justice, and Chairman Chuku. So those are personal things which can be coined, and I can only use that one when I'm running commentaries, maybe describing events, particularly if I'm invited to. Those are the two ways we should look at it. Thank you.
Sorry,
Thank you
fantastic. I think going from what Uncle Today suggested, your job is cut out for you. He has mentioned 4 names that are still alive, and I think our lecture series can develop into handbook or whatever, so that the 4 sports gurus that are here, sports commentator gurus, sports commentary gurus that are here, can put together, they can put heads together and bring out a book concerning sports commentary, preparing for them, and of course they'll be able to highlight the sports register.
Very good. Thank you so much. I will look into that with our principal and people like you. You have been a very great support, and I'm so happy that he himself, Mr. Tunde Orebi, just told us that he's supporting us. So I'm sure we will be able to roster him to also.
Fantastic. I haven't gotten the pronunciation right too. Broadcast Orebi.
Orebi. Thank you.
Yes. Orebi. Okay. Thank you very much for that learning this morning. Finally, we have
Orebi. The song.
The presenter. Okay. We have Tony Ekata in the house, and he's going to give us vote of thanks. Before that, I need to mention to us here that Dr. Emeka Odiko did send in his apologies for leaving us so early. He said he's in his country home, so the internet connectivity there is very poor, and that we shouldn't worry. He supports what we're doing, and that is willing to take the next class. So, and I think that's good news. Tony Ekata, please, vote of thanks.
Before Tony Ekata will talk, can I round up, please?
Okay.
Please, can you give me that privilege?
Yes, please, go ahead.
I want to speak to our media houses to please give us more training programs. More training programs. I am not happy with NBC and the closure of media houses, but we have to also apply wisdom. If you owe subscription fees, please go and pay. But my particular interest is the development of the media practitioners. Give us more rooms to be trained. Let there be a synergy between the newsroom and the classroom. There was a program put together by Professor Raf Akinfeleye, a great mass communication lecturer in UNILAG. And we discussed about the synergy between the newsroom and the classroom, where those who are already on the news, those who are practitioners, will have to liaise. Let them come and teach those who are in the classroom. I told you in my lecture that experience is different to upgradement. So that when you share experience with these students, when they come to the field, they are not at loss. They are not at sea. They are not confused. Let those who are practitioners now be invited by these academic institutions to come and give lectures, guest lectures. In 1980, Fela Anikulapo Kuti came to Ogun State Polytechnic Mass Comm department to give us a lecture on music and development. And he told us that Nigeria can never win the World Cup because they understand our moves. He said we should introduce dancing system into how we play. That's how Okocha plays. For those of us who are live commentators, we will remember Austin Okocha, JJ Okocha, with the German goalkeeper when he was in Frankfurt. He dribbled the post. Go and look at the video of that one, how he was doing his dance steps. I learned from Fela Anikulapo Kuti. We have different dance steps that can be introduced. Croatia will take their players to a jungle forest and give them military training to be able to endure hardness on the field of play. Please, in the media, let's take our practitioners to the classrooms. Let them share experiences. How did you report this? How did you go about this? Not only live commentaries now. How did you report this? Wale Ademawa, for example, is a well-known entertainment reporter. He has even written books. How do we report entertainment on radio? And so on and so forth. This is my advocacy. Thank you.
Go ahead with your question. Dorcas?
Yeah, I'm here. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to all the veterans here. It's been an amazing journey with you all. Thank you to Mr. Aro for sending me the link to be here. When it's sports, I'm here. So, by the way, my name is Dorcas Koiki. I am a new generation sport presenter and co-commentator. I haven't had the courage to go into commentaries yet, but probably in the future I will. For Nigeria Info, Port Harcourt precisely. It's been an amazing journey listening to you all. I've learned a whole lot from the veterans in the house, commentators in their own rights and back into days. But there is something that I'd like to say. Things are done differently a little bit now, especially when it comes to sports live commentaries, most especially, and delivering the morning news. We call it morning news, but it's like sports news basically. It's not as pacey as it used to be, and also the live commentaries as well. I love the fact that Mr. Olatunji, Dr. Olatunji, I'll say, made mention of it being musical. It's poetry when it comes to live commentaries, but it's not as pacey as it used to. If you can learn poetry, if you can find a way to pun your words, love to call it pun, it makes the broadcast even better. But the most important thing here today is the fact that I learned a lot from every one of you who spoke, and it's been a very good journey. And once again, thank you, Mr. Leonard, for sending me the link to be here. It was great. So thank you all. It's been good to listen to you all and be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Tony Ekata, vote of thanks.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much. I first have to apologize for coming here late. I joined when Reverend Eniola was talking about the qualities of a good sports writer. I told Bibi I was in transit, and she told me I must be here or just transit out of BGF. So I had no choice. I had to start somewhere to join this session, and I'm happy I did. First, I looked at the participants, and it gave me joy to see that we have quite a number of veterans there. And the same veterans on BGF who are very active. You know, we have active and we have passive ones. The active ones are here again today, and I say a very special thank you to them. They know themselves. Having said that, I would like to thank Reverend Eniola very, very much, not just for this session, but for what he has been doing. He's been giving us, you see, usually you would do theory before practicals, but we got to know how well he is with this job through his practicals on the PGF platform. There is no game that he would not give us a report. I already know that, he's top of the range when you talk about sports writing, sports commentating and reporting. He's proven to us, he's given us all the reports, all the things he has just told us. I'm sure a lot of us are used to them already. I need to thank Deji. Deji from the beginning has given us his platform, his Zoom platform. The platform is not as important as his presence, because he could give us his platform and then go do something else, especially on a Saturday like this. So thank you, Deji. We appreciate you always. Dr. Dipo, I don't know whether he's still on. That's my boss from the Voice of Nigeria days. He's an inspiration any day, just as Deji has pointed out again. I mean, at his age to go do a PhD, then all of us must try and do something that is memorable. Calvin, I don't know whether Calvin is still online. I saw him. He's one of those veterans.
My brother has gone out.
Okay, so he makes that platform very, very active and very, very interesting. So I'm happy that I saw him here. Tunde Orebi, I hope I got that well. I don't remember how many decades ago I heard the name, but I need to let him know that I was always watching him on AIT, and I'm so happy he's here today. I would like to invite him specially to come over to BGF full-time, not this part-time cameo appearance. I don't know what they call it. We need him full-time to please be with us. This is a special invitation to you, Uncle Tunde. Please join us. I thank BB for handling this thing so well and everybody. But let me quickly also talk about, some of the things that Reverend talked about. I joined when he was talking about the qualities of a sports reporter. And he started with a researcher, that you must be a researcher. That one, there's no doubt about it. Some of my comments on his reports on the BGF platform have been about how he can tell us who scored what goal in 1977. He would do that. So when he says that, that is exactly what he does with his reports. He tells you who scored a brace, who scored a hat-trick, how they scored it. And he's talking about something that happened decades ago. So I think we must bear that in mind and also apply it in our sports reporting. It makes it also interesting and so professional. And then he talked about knowing something about everything. In fact, the definition of the educated man is not the one who knows everything about something. The educated man is the one who knows something about everything. And that's what he just said again about this sports reporting. I learned quite a few terms from him in swinger, out swinger. I didn't know what those were. And this word ricochet, I need to emphasize that because there was this question about what kind of English should you use when you are reporting. And the other day on the platform, somebody was trying to say we should speak English like Nigerians. So when you are reporting, when you are doing this, you're commentating, are you going to be using Nigerian English, knowing that you are talking to the world? Because journalism, reporting, everything is global now because of the internet. So when you are using your Nigerian accent and using your Nigerian, no intention to denigrate anybody, when you use your Igbo-nized accent or Yoruba-nized accent, how do you expect those who are listening to you to follow you? Because especially on radio, on television, you can be looking at the visuals, but on radio, you need to say what you are saying the way you should be saying it. And that brings me to the question Glory asked again. She wanted clarifications about when you say we should speak English. I think she was thinking what Reverend or Tunde was saying is that you should not keep to the Queen's English. But from the explanation, we understand now that the concern he raised, that is Uncle Tunde, was about not allowing people to use the sports register, which was the term that he threw in. Sports register or sports jargon as Reverend called it earlier, is quite different from pronouncing your words the way they should be pronounced. Because if you don't, you will lose your listeners. I gave an example. I was watching a program in Pretoria here with a neighbor of mine, a white man. And this, I need to mention that day I didn't say the station. It was NTA International. And there was this young man who was doing a correspondence report. His accent was so bad that at the end, my friend was asking me, what did he say? So, I mean, the essence of communication is comprehension. If you say something nobody understands, you said nothing. So we need to be able to speak English the way it should be spoken. When you are speaking English, when you are doing Yoruba, you do Yoruba. When you're speaking English, you speak English. For me, I don't think there's the question of you use Nigerian English. You use Nigerian English when you are talking to a global audience. That is why we introduced the program on BGF, which is a word a day, because we realized that, and we still do realize that English is not our language. It isn't our language. No matter how much we try, we cannot speak it like the white man, but we can do our best to give approximately what the majority of your audience will understand. Because if you don't know, you don't know. We were doing a word a day, one word a day that we pronounce, that we know that people have problem with pronouncing. And then we get some of our specialists to pronounce it the way it should be done. And people learn from it. Let me take the word ricochet. Ricochet. That was what Reverend said. And it's possible he has been pronouncing it like that for decades, but that is not the correct pronunciation. When you say ricochet, when you are doing your commentary, for instance, and a white man is listening to you on radio, by the time he begins to think, okay, ricochet, what's that again? He loses the trend. You know, a lot of these things, they are not our fault. Our teachers, if the teacher that taught you didn't know it, you will not know it. It's automatic. It has to do with background, even right from the primary school, secondary school, and so on. So when you say veterans, when you are talking, somebody else may think you are thinking of something else and lose what you are saying. You know, veterans, some people have said it here, veterans. Ricochet, not ricochet. So what I'm trying to say is that for the one about pronunciation, you must try as much as possible to pronounce your words the English way, the way your audience will understand. If you heard the young lady that spoke last, her accent, she probably had her education outside, or she just had basic training, good training like Glory in phonetics. Everybody cannot be like that. But have in mind that your audience is not Nigerian. It is global. And so you must try and approximate what you are saying to the global standard. I wanted to also talk about, well, he said something about precision journalism, said something about surveys, statistical analysis, which is very true. When he was doing all that, like I said before, I thought it was juju. Say, what kind of juju is this man using that he knows everything? But now we know it's not juju, he just do some research. And you get used to statistical analysis. You must have a quiver full of adjectives, because the camera is for the man that is on television. He captures with the camera and we see what he's talking about on the screen. For you on radio, your adjectives are your camera. You are able to talk about the colors the teams are wearing. They are wearing different colors. The color the referee is wearing, the mood on the pitch. You talk about the mood. You are talking about the atmosphere. Like I said, I have a formula for it, which is KASE. Talk about color, talk about atmosphere, talk about the sound. Now, the what do you call it? Stadium? Stadium is up, everyone is shouting, those kinds of things. The emotion, that's the last one. Paint the emotion with your words, so that what you are trying to do is to get people to see what you are saying in their mind's eyes. In their mind's eyes. They are following you. They're not watching it, but if you are good at it, it is as good as they are watching it, because of the adjectives that you put in there to paint a picture of what you are saying. So let's also bear that in mind. The young man that asked about slander and libel. When you write the newspaper, you can have that as documentary evidence. You need to go to court. I don't know about Nigeria, but in South Africa, there's what we call Monitoring SA. Monitoring SA is an institute that monitors everything that goes out of every radio station. I'll give an example. In 2004, I think, President Obasanjo came to Pretoria to attend the inauguration of President Mbeki. There was this FM station, High Fed FM, and there was this young man there who said, they saw the Nigerian president. I'm not too sure whether there are drugs inside because of this stereotyping of Nigerians, they are drug pushers. This guy was just reckless with his tongue. That young man, because of Monitoring SA, we were able to go to Monitoring SA. They played back that very broadcast. We saw that is something perhaps the NBC should be talking about more than this finding that, and giving fines. Yeah, so finally, thank you again very much. Tunde or Ebi said something about training. We must train and retrain. Reverend Olatunji said it again. The vision of BGF is to perhaps one day be a training institute. So there is no compromise in training. If you want to grow in this job, you must train. Those of us here now that are not on BGF yet, please join us. It's not only sports we do training right on the platform every day in our discussions, professional discussions, and there are many other training programs. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. God bless you.
On that note, I would like to say thank you again and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Akpan. You're the very first person to join this training today. You are highly appreciated. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Goodbye.